Morning and welcome to Quest Television and Quest 93.1 FM. It is the 9th day in the month of June 2023. A lovely Friday morning here in the studios. And well, another Friday for us to head into the papers and see what they have for us. My name is Orikemi Mariam and this is the paper review on Quest today. Making a return back to the studios this morning are 5 newspapers. We have the Punch, we have the Nigerian Tribune, the Daily Sun, the Daily Trust, and the Nation newspaper. And like I said earlier on, it is a Friday. I did not do this alone. With me this morning in the studio is my colleague, the person of Michael Gubadia, and our proverbial bishop and person of Comrade A.P. Good morning and welcome to the show, gentlemen.
I know before I will finish this program, maybe we'll have a lexicon of proverbs.
Well, anyway, I love the way you introduced him, and it's making him really look so old.
But Bishop, you are young. Okay. Do not mind Michael.
I just had to bring that in because it's more like our granddaddy. But anyways, you can go on.
Okay, well, with the shots being fired, let's head straight into the papers to see what they have for us. The first paper for review is the Daily Sun. And on the Daily Sun this morning, the major headline states, INEC explains non-transmission of election results with beavers. The writer there says, Obi and Labour Party seek court order to question Commission on credibility of ICT services. This seems to be making a round on all the dailies this morning, but you can read the story on page 6 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Moving right beside the masthead, we have Mba in Aso Rock asks Tinubu to release Kanu. The writer there says such gesture will begin healing process and outline security and economic plans for Enugu. That story you can get on page 27. Moving down below, we have federal government declares June 12 public holiday to mark Democracy Day. You can read that on page 26 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Moving down below, we have Wike, Marking Day, Autumn, Ikpeazu, and Uguayi meet Tinubu and seek equity, fairness, and justice. Do us read all of that on page 26. On page 28, it says, a panic in Anambra Assembly as armed men try to abduct member-elect. That's quite an interesting one. Moving away from that, we have on 10th NAS leadership, nobody should take Izunazo seriously, says Ahize. More on that story you can get on page 6. El-Rufai under fire over viral video. The writer there says a Catholic priest asked Tinubu and Ubasani to call ex-Cardinal governor to order over comments on same-faith tickets. You can read all of that on page 26. Moving on, we have tears as ex-senator Annie Okonkwo dies at 63. A sad one indeed. You can read that story on page 6 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And finally, COSYL backs Ohaneze for rejecting Deputy Speaker position. The writer there says declares Benjamin Kalu persona non grata. You can continue that story on page 26 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And well, that's what you can take on the front page of the Daily Sun.
Well, the Nigerian Tribune will be the next paper for us to quickly look at. And on the Tribune this morning, well, lots of headlines. But the leading story right there reads, 10th National Assembly, Tinubu pushes on, meet lawmakers elect. It's a screamer, but few riders accompany that very story. Canvasses unity, national interest, wants them to downplay politics and meet G5 governors. All governors in support of APC zoning template, says Ogun governor, and PDP will work with other political parties, and Olugu Nagba is also insisting that on page 2 and 28 of the Nigerian Tribune. But let's quickly go to that story that's on page 26 of it. Police rescue adopted travelers in Undum, 4 kidnapped after naming ceremony in Kwara community. Wow. And our comrade Odomo, it looks as if the rage of terror continues. Well, anyways, national election result transmitted, but presidential election result failed to go. INEC official tells court as Tinubu APC kick against tendering of statement. Obi seeks court order to interrogate INEC on ICT expert used for election. But anyway, you can really address yourself on page 27 of the Nigerian Tribune. Tinubu signs first bill, and a new act harmonizes judicial officers' retirement age and pension. It's a major one on page 2. DSS storms Anambra Assembly, attempt to weeks away Newe lawmaker elect. Now we know the gunmen that went there. That story you can get on page 26. And NNPCL yet to reconcile 8.5 trillion fuel subsidy claims and this is according to the RMAFC. And definitely I'll be asking if Comrade Odomo knows more about this, or if any of the trillion got to him. Anyway, Enugu governor in Aso Rock presses for Nnamdi Kanu release. It's a major one on page 28, but another leading story right there on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Subsidy. Falana lists 26 corrupt cases that cost Nigerian trillions of naira. It says Obasanjo paid 873 billion for subsidy, and Yar'Adua paid 749 billion for subsidy, Jonathan 3.9 trillion, and Buhari 11 trillion naira for subsidy. But anyway, you can get that very story on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. But the picture of the day is that of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu exchanging pleasantries with members elect of the National Assembly during a meeting held at the conference center at the State House in Abuja yesterday. Well, that's the much from the Nigerian Tribune.
Okay, well, comrade, it seems as though you had a lot of reactions to the headlines on the Nigerian Tribune. But we'll come back to that. The next paper for review is the Daily Trust. And on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, the major headline states, support Akpabio and Tajuddin. Tinubu urges lawmakers elect. The writer there says, President gets governors buy-in. Yari and Kalu remain in race, and Betara meets Asiwaju today as Wase insists on contest. You can continue all of that on page 4 of the Daily Trust. Moving above the leading story, we say we have Ipman assures on capacity to force price of petrol down. A lot of people are interested in that, but you can read all of that on page 19. Moving on, we have how economy fared under Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, Jonathan, and Buhari. This is one you can get on page 3. And 2 years after, freight services on Lagos-Ibadan train stall is making it to the front page. You can read that story on page 18 of the Daily Trust. And that's much you can take on the front page of the Daily Trust this morning.
Well, the Punch will be the next paper for us to look at as we try to punch you off that bed, not on the ground, but definitely the leading story right there on the front page of the Punch. Tinubu meeting with lawmakers failed to resolve zoning crisis. And we're talking about the National Assembly leadership. And, kick us to that. President called for zoning, failed to name anointed aspirants, said sources. And opposition parties claim majority plot to use number against APC candidates. And the question is, are we going to have a play of what happened in 2015? But anyway, continue that story on page 2 of the Punch. What's also on page 7, rather, is President signs bill on judges' retirement age and subsidy. NNPCL failed to remit 8 trillion, says RMFAC. But anyway, get our story on page 17. Rep step down, 543 billion naira judgment debt payment is a major one on page 27. But allow me go to other story just beneath the picture of the day. 5G raised telecoms GDP contribution to 2.51 trillion naira, and this is accredited to the NCC. Ogun community residents stranded as flood overruns Link Road is a sad one on page 4 and 5. And return home for vote buying trial, APC tells Adebutu, and that you can get on page 8. But what you get on page 28 rather is INEC APC oppose Labour Party's request to squeeze IT experts, and it's a major one on page 28. But also on page 28, Nigerian Air Arewa Group demands Sirika's arrest. And I'll be asking Comrade Odomo if he will fly on a Nigerian Air anytime soon. Okay, and the picture of the day is more of an advert on a bank. And definitely that's the much we can take from the Punch.
Okay, well, Michael, I wasn't sure if it's Nigerian Ethiopian Air
sorry,
or Ethiopian Nigerian Air.
That's why I got confused.
Okay. Okay, well, the next paper and final paper for review this morning is The Nation. And on The Nation newspaper this morning, the major headline reads, Tinubu's Parley boosts Akpabio and Abbas's chances. The writer there says lawmakers intensify lobbying ahead of presiding officers' elections, and Yari and Kalu adamant. You can read this on the front page and continue on page 2 of The Nation newspaper. Moving above the masthead, we have telcos accuse big banks of reluctance to pay USSD charges. Why? Get that story on page 8. Appeal court order others Makinde to pay ex-council chiefs 3.4 billion naira. To get more of that story, go to page 6. The kind of security chiefs president needs by Olugbo is making it to page 5 of The Nation. And also PDP 6 transfer of Ogun and Kaduna tribunals to Abuja. That's also making it to page 5 of The Nation. Moving below the masthead, we have presidential poll okay where we served, says articles witnesses. Do more to get that story on page 3 after reading on the front page of The Nation. NAPCL withholding 8.4 trillion naira from Federation accounts, says RMAFC. More on that you can get on page 2 after reading on the front page. Monday is June 12th holiday. Is one you can get on page 5. Still on page 5, Umba and lawyer urge Kanu's release. Moving away from that, we have Speaker rejects no man's land tag for Lagos. That's quite an interesting one, but you can read all of that on page 6. And finally, Anio Kunko dies at 63. Well,
quite
it's
sad.
quite sad. Yeah, so rest in peace. But you can read all of that on page 4 of The Nation newspaper. And well, at this point, we've taken the headlines on all the front pages of all the dailies I mentioned earlier. Now it's your time to have your say on the show. But do not forget, stick to the headlines on the dailies only, so we don't have confusions, between us. The numbers to call are on your screen. For those on radio, the numbers are 080-229-31931 and 081-8888-931. Come to the show, state your name, your location, and then have your say. With that being said, let's see if we have our first caller online before we move over to Comrade to enlighten us. And matters are rising. Hello. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Probably they won't start with the man, sir.
Okay, well, let me make it a
talk on
Hello, good morning.
Arufai.
Okay.
You programmed the Muslim ticket of a team. You see, this man, his state is the hotbed of killing and what have you. It should not be taken for granted. Yesterday they said, Car said it should be ignored. How can you be such a person who made a previous statement that is so offensive? I think that man, if we are really sure that he made that statement, he should be arrested. He should be arrested to come and say is behind that statement that by the next 20 years, it is going to be Muslim in Kaduna and even in Nigeria and beyond. That is so offensive. It has involved provoked Christians and even some of the bishops who worked for APC. How will they be feeling by this time? It's so unfortunate that such a person who they said is intelligent has made such a blunder trying to set the country ablaze. This is my take.
Well, thank you
very
so
much.
But you didn't state your name and where you're calling
He
from.
was eager to finish his statement.
Well, anyway, looks as if that was really on his mind and one he really needed to react to.
Well, let's take a call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, my career. I finally made it.
Officer Mike, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sonia. Good morning, and good morning.
This is
Mr.
not
Ademo.
Sonia. This is Miriam. This is not
sorry,
Sonia.
my
This is
dear.
Miriam.
I want to speak on one statement that I said. I don't know if you people read it because I enter your news headline late.
Okay.
I said the stakeholders speak and urge Buhari not to sign a police pension bill that he will incur so many billion.
Well, that will be Tinubu rather. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yes. My career, I have personally spoke to you about the ordeals of Nigerian police.
Yes.
Anybody who is against this bill, I want to say, is an enemy to police, and is an enemy to the federation, and is an enemy to whatever that is happening. Why did I say so? I have been crying on many radio. How can a police officer retire and you give him 1.5 million, 2 million after serving 35 years? My brother, check well. Majority of retired police officers are not living well. And retirement is supposed to be a happy home. But many policemen, that just check. When after retirement, many police died even before 1 year, after 1 year. It's because of the suffering. And you will suffer for the benefit for more than 1 year without getting it. And the Senate has passed the bill. Somebody is urging President Tinubu not to sign it. What a country. Anybody that doesn't want that bill to go through, I will not say a bad prayer for that person, but you should rethink. Because if you don't want somebody to enjoy the fruit of his labor, I wonder what you are praying for yourself.
All right. Thank you very much, Officer Mike.
Well, he's really stating that very issue. Yes, he is a police officer, and he's not happy with that very bill not yet signed, and someone requesting for President Tinubu not to go ahead and sign.
Well, let's take more calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to the show. Your name, your location, please.
I'm calling from Obiara from Delta State.
All right, please welcome to the show. Have your say.
Let me start from the woman there. You are not calling your name well. You are too fast, and you are marketing your name. It's so good. That's why that woman call you Sonia.
All right.
Don't get anywhere you call your name.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I want to correct the impression. President Tinubu has signed the first bill he signed was that police station bill. Why people are not correct? People are saying that he has signed it yesterday, and that is the first bill he has signed. So people should also listen to other media houses. That's my part. The issue of Aerofy. Aerofy, when the killing of Kaduna started, he said the Fulanis, they hardly forgive that even if you kill one person, you take them 100 years to revenge. And that's the statement. They have been killing without the showing concern. Now he has made another statement that the Islamization policy agenda of the APC is succeeding. And people, Christian Association of Nigeria is saying that you should not mind him. I'm not sure that's the actual Christian Association of Nigeria or the arm of Aerofy's agenda. Because some of them are sprayed as bishops as these soldiers from that part of the north. And they end up being agents of those people that are killing the Christians. So they should not take those people correct except camp serious, because I'm not sure that legitimate arm of camp. And that is that. So an issue of the police station bill, I think I applaud the federal government because for President Tinubu for actually signing it into law, because the policemen have been what have been on the road because of neglect. It's going to again. Nobody wants to be able to get a policeman if actually have another employment.
Okay.
God bless you and God
Thank
bless
you very much. Thank you very much.
And we'll try and really look at that, because the bill I know he signed yesterday, or that for the retirement of judges, and we'll try and really further investigate to see if that bill has been signed. And when we do so, we'll be rest assured we'll be definitely giving you an update on that.
Yes, but we have time for one more call before we move over to Comrade. Okay. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the
good
show.
Morning.
Your name, your
location. Evangelist Christopher on the line.
Yes, please have your say.
Yeah, I want to say that this verified statement of the thing. I think Nigerians, we don't like hearing the truth. The man has said the truth, and people are opposing him. It's just the agenda anyway. But I want to say that the rest part of the country should be awake to this revelation, because we have what we call the Freludian speech that will just come out of you. You understand? So people should not take this thing for granted, and the military the authorities should hold this man accountable, because he wants to cause a religious war in this country, and Nigeria cannot survive a religious civil war. The civil war that happened in 1967 was between the government and the mafia. But if it's a religious civil war, it's going to be horrible. So this man should be apprehended. This man should be cautioned. This unguarded statement. Okay. This man should not inflame this country. And as for the police, when Nigerians are fighting for the rights of everybody, you will be the one to suppress them against the constitution that says we should express our rights. And now you are talking about signing of your pension and the rest. People are fighting for the good of this country. You will go against the law that says people should fight for the right cause of the country.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, we have to take, we have to move to Comrade. Yes.
A right to also seek for what they feel is rightfully theirs.
Yeah, everyone has expressed their opinions.
Yeah.
But at this point, we have to move over to Comrade before we log off this session. Well, the part that actually caught my attention, Comrade, I have not even said it already. You're already reacting. Is the part on the Nigerian Tribune, where it says Falana lists 22 corruption cases that cost Nigeria trillions of naira. Says Obasanjo paid 873 billion for fuel subsidy. Yaradua 749 billion. Jonathan 3.9 trillion. And Buhari 11 trillion naira. What's your take on this?
Well, corruption. It's part of Nigerian lexicon these days. We have been told that for the past 8 years, no subsidy has been paid, and the federal government has not been able to defend that whether they are lying or they are not. If you look at the whole system, actually, if you say you want to prove any of these cases, maybe I might bet you, even you will be involved, because the thing has snowballed from the top to the bottom.
Me?
Yes, of course. It has snowballed. If it touches your person, it has touched you. So there is no way you can wriggle yourself out of it. You know, we have not proved any case in Nigeria that will come out with result. Even when they come out with result, there has never been any prosecution of anyone. And that is why we continue to have all this type of mess on daily basis. What do we get from this? What is the essence of you going to war? You won the war, you refuse to come home. Is it not as good as you were killed in that war? They should give us a policy statement. In some other countries, when you steal public funds, there is a penalty. Like this president spoke of recent when he said he has to sack and prosecute his minister for a fraud. Have you ever seen that in Nigeria? Even the few ones that were convicted, what happened at the end of the day? Presidential pardon. And they are back to the state house. Some of them even at the federal level. So what are we talking about? It's another way of siphoning your phone and my phone, which we have paid for as taxes, through another channel. Because they have to pay the panel, you have to pay the judges, you have to pay everybody concerned. And at the end of the day, you are not getting any results.
Oh, well, Michael?
Yes, a quick one, and I really love a minute from you on that because of time. And let's look at this unfolding drama that surrounds Nigerian Air and the call for arrest of Serika. He made a promise that the very last day of President Muhammad Buhari's administration, former president, that Nigerian Air will be unveiled, but it now ended into a blunder, getting Nigerian Air, but getting a registration number for Ethiopian Air. How much of a probe does this really need?
We don't need a probe
to ensure that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration is dealing with the issue of
corruption. We don't need any probe in that one, Mike. We don't need any probe. The sickness that is going to disgrace you is going to perch on your forehead or your nose because you cannot cover it with anything. This aircraft was brought, and the man who is not telling us that it's a test run. They want Nigerians to see how the logo will rest.
59
Yeah, they want to see how the logo will rest on the aircraft. I don't know whether they have crafted another means of stamping a logo on the plane. And you are using 159 billion to test run. How much is the plane itself? Is he building an airport, a different airport for it? Is he building a different hangar? Is he bringing the best pilots in the world to come and fly that aircraft? Yes, to come and test run that aircraft. And now he made that statement, everybody folded their hands. For your information, right from onset, we have not been so lucky with the aviation industry. All our ministers have been having problems, which means something must be wrong somewhere. Because if a welder continues hitting only one place without leaving it, then something must be very serious underneath that issue. The federal government should, as of now, that man should be in Kuje prison. And if they are afraid that there will be a jailbreak in Kuje, they can take him to Kirikiri and let him be cooling his feet. Or they must just not. So we cannot be laughing over all this type of things.
Okay, well, that's because of the issue.
We're talking about 159 billion, man. Do you know what that will do to even the whole Delta state if that money comes in here?
Well, comrade,
it will not fly away with it. Though.
Yeah.
You cannot be too sure.
Okay,
if he gets to the court of the tribunal and they ask him some question and he's going down like the normal issue in the country, please off the mic, the man is painting. At the end of the day, the matter is over. Then what do you do?
Okay, but anyways, I feel we need to go.
Yes, we need to go. Yeah. Comrade,
we'll go through Ethiopian Nigeria.
Okay, no, I won't.
No, we're not using Ethiopian Air.
Thank you for the advice.
Well, thank you very much for being on the paper review with me today, Comrade Ofeodomo, our honored Bishop. I do look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, I also look forward to seeing you on Monday, and when Sonia now joins Miriam, it becomes... what do we do? No, but on the most note, that man has some soft spot for you.
Well, anyways, we need to go.
We need to go. Thank you very much for being on the paper review with us today. Have a lovely Friday.